Hello and welcome to the
Hi.
potential juror. Tonight it's two potential jurors. Mona is joining me again, which is just always great, and myself, Dawn. And we're going to talk about California versus Monica Sementilli a little bit more. The trial that just keeps on giving. Was today
For
30?
diggity dang sure.
Today was day 31, right? The 31st day. This is a long trial.
Yes, it was the 31st day. Oh, wait a minute. I got to stop that.
And so today was day 31, but we're really like on week 6 because there have been a lot of delays. And then the judge made an announcement this afternoon that there's going to be another delay. He's going to be gone like 4 days next week.
Monday through Thursday. He's teaching. Yeah.
Yes. So
He's just full of surprises that drag
it's been
this
like that
trial out.
a lot this whole trial. So today we left off last week, a whole week ago, gosh, and Mona, you were at the courthouse, and then you ended up, Mona, getting sick, right? From the
Oh,
courthouse,
from the.
the germs.
I rarely get sick, like catch
Yeah.
any kind of virusy thing.
Hmm.
And just like it says in the medical books, 3 to 5 days after exposure, I'm like,
Oh,
oh. And then it just went on for a few days. But as soon as I felt better, then I
hmm.
found out that Mr. Baker was up. So I went the next day. And then Marty joined me after lunch.
And
So
that was
he's,
Friday. Was that Friday?
yeah, it was when all the shenanigans were going on in the sidebars and the admonitions and admonishments and anger and calm down and excuse the jury. We were there for all of that.
It seems like, oh my gosh. Okay, so you're going to have to bring me up to speed because I just finished like 1 second before I came on here to live stream. I just finished listening to today's because I was out and about most of today. So I had to kind of quickly listen to everything. But okay, so Friday was when Baker came on, or no, did he come on Thursday? Did he go up on Thursday?
Maybe did he? I think he did. He go Thursday afternoon. I can't even
Maybe.
remember anymore
Me
because
too.
what I want to say about this trial, Dawn, is it is the most stagnant trial that just took off like gangbusters in the last few days. In my as soon as the defense was up, it just went choo choo choo.
Right, right. That makes sense because the prosecution had to put on the whole case, right? And so it took a long time, which is normal, right? So the defense always is just a fraction of how much time the prosecution. So it does. It seems like things really went fast, but I think also that what colors that is the fact that it's Baker, who was one of the co-conspirators, the one who actually wielded the knife to murder Fabio Sementilli.
One of the
And
ones, according to Austin.
well, so most of the he, according to Austin, he did one, and uh, and Baker did the rest. So, but Baker's trying to say he did all of it. So, okay, so gosh, where to begin? So, but we also had the other daughter, Monica's other daughter, last week,
Yes.
right? For
So
the
where
for the defense.
we left off that Isabella got on either as the last, I guess the was
She
she
was for
defense
she was
or
for the defense
okay, because remember they called Jessica with a G
for
for
the
the state
prosecution.
called them her.
Yes, correct.
Yes, Queen Olive off the rails today.
Yes.
And Friday. So what I'm trying to my brain is just a little fuzzy
It's okay.
because
It's okay. It's okay.
the
Don't worry.
sister was the one that was like, what?
The sister.
Monica's sister got on the stand for the
Right.
defense
That's
and
right. I
painted
forgot
her.
about.
Right, I forgot because as soon as other stuff happened, we're like, and
Right.
she basically was saying, I'll paraphrase it in my quick synopsis. my sister is an angel and I never left her side for a second, so none of this is possible.
But then she
And
was
that
enlightened, right? She was
she looked at the
informed.
judge and went, "Do I have to?" When they were telling her to look at those pictures from
Well, no,
the
no. But she was enlightened about actually, oh, there was some time that she claimed she was with her sister the entire time, but where she was
right.
off texting and doing other things. Now, what did you think about her realizing in real time while on the stand that what she believed to be true or was saying to be true wasn't true? She was really being informed, but maybe she did know. What did you think? Did you think she knew and it was an act?
What I honestly think is that many people had no clue because of the duplicitousness of this situation and the acting and the very, maybe even Housewives of the Valley kind of personality. You know, the racquetball, the going out to dinner, the makeup, the hair, the whole, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The drama.
And Queen Olive says, hi, Ruth Ann says, I felt bad for Anna. You could see her heart breaking in real time. See, I felt that too. I felt like she really believed what she was saying. She wasn't just, I mean, sure, she was one-sided for her sister, but she was also being informed live while on the stand that what she had believed wasn't exactly accurate.
I
And
think it was a sobering experience for her.
yeah, it seemed
And that
like, didn't it?
but when Marty and I were there the next day, she was there sitting behind her sister with her husband at her side.
Yeah.
And then Morella and the other sister and another relative are just one little teeny aisle away from them.
Oh, I
It
thought you
was,
said Morella wasn't coming. She came
she
back?
came back on Friday.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, it's a tough courtroom to sit in all day, but I mean, it's hard for them to listen to that. They're two
Oh, of
sisters.
course. Of course.
So that, you know, and you could tell because I'm, you know, sneaky looking there, looking at Monica, looking at the sister,
Mhm.
watching every juror, looking at the little whisperings with the baby lawyers and the big attorneys and the different note taking styles of the attorney, the way Judge Cohen looks wherever he's going to very intently.
So, we tried, but we don't have a list for the witnesses for the defense. We didn't have a list for the prosecution for that matter, but we had a pretty good idea. But for the defense, there's no list. Do you believe that Monica's mother will testify?
No,
Has she been in the courtroom
not that, no, I
that you
haven't
know
seen
of?
her, but I've only been there like 4 or 5 times and it's the
Right.
31-day trial so far.
Well, if she
But
came, I would suspect she would be there when the sister was there. That would just be my guess.
no, it looked like a nice looking gentleman next to her in a really nice blue suit sitting with excellent posture. And I assumed it was her husband at her side.
So her
I
mother
could be
might be
wrong.
testifying and can't come into the courtroom, or she might not be coming at all, either or.
Well, who
Okay.
knows what Judge Cohen's rules are because he doesn't have anything else on camera except like start the trial, break,
You
end
mean
the
as far
trial
as
early.
sequestering the
We don't
witnesses?
know what any of the motions were, any of the hearings that we didn't hear.
Right. My guess, though, is they would be sequestered because if they're a witness, they can't sit in the courtroom, is the point.
One would think, but I just
Well,
watching
because there have
different.
been some, the only reason I say that is there have been some questions like, did you listen to this trial? Right? She even asked Baker that. Did you listen to the testimony? And he's like, well, I couldn't exactly say whatever.
Your TV was so far away I could barely hear it while it was on all day.
Uh, yes, we're all
We're all
suspicious
suspicious
of
of all
trombone.
trombone players, 100%.
Matt's and trombone players. Oh no. Okay.
What's the least used phrase? I'm going to tell an old music joke. What's the least used phrase in the English language? This is a tie-in for this trial. Is that the trombone player's Portia?
Okay.
What can I say?
That's good.
You
That's
have to
good.
find humor in something like this that is so tragic, and
Dark. Yeah.
it's so dark, and it's so, I really felt differently hours after going to that courtroom, because
How
you're so,
so?
I'm just observing so intently, and the pass out dust is going through the the air filter. I don't know what's happening in that courtroom, but it's
The
not
pass out
friendly.
dust.
It's
Everybody's
not
getting
friendly to
tired.
consciousness. You just,
So you felt different physically or because of the testimony or both?
well, I'm on watch, 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 watch. So it's almost like when I would do a shift in the ER, you just work, 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 work. Stuff happens, 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 happens. And
Mhm.
later your mind digests things when you have a moment in the
Yeah.
bath or the shower or just a walk where your some vision will revisit your brain, or at least in Mona world.
Well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to invite you to go live because you sent me a text. Let me read it. Let me see.
What did I say?
Last week. I have to remember because same thing. It's like my brain is
Like what?
so
Are you
the
you doing a
whole
baker right now?
let's
I don't remember today.
see. You said I think it will okay, let me keep going. And this was Friday. So this was Friday at 9 p.m. ish. I have so many afterthoughts already. So this is kind of what you were saying. Very bizarre to be in a room with such a violent human. And then you also said, if you don't mind
Oh,
me
I don't
reading.
mind.
Okay, if Monica didn't instigate it, then it makes zero sense. So what was it like? Okay, try to remember when you sent this text Friday, because it's exactly what you were just saying. You come home and then you start digesting
I know
later.
my exact thought. It was like, really, just being in the room with this human that's just sitting there, kind of slight, beaten down, unattractive, aging human, which makes sense being in lockup for 8 years already.
Hmm.
Um, I was just thinking, like, I want, that I wanted to see well, the M word person come in. I don't know what I'm allowed
Yeah,
to say
yeah,
on
yeah,
YouTube.
yeah. I know.
So I wanted to see the shackles. Remember, I was like, I want to see Monica come in, and she just walks in like without anybody that close or anything
Mhm.
uncuffed. She's just strolls in, plops in her chair. And then when Austin and Baker are in, they come from the same little door. This is a small courtroom that Monica is in. I thought they'd come in the hallway, but no, not a different hallway.
Right,
Um,
right.
and they just come in soon after, and they are like this far away from Monica, having to pass her, who's already in her chair, to be led to the where you testify
The
to
witness
onto the
stand.
stand.
So they're that
Because
far apart, like literally just 2 feet
when the
when they walk
person comes
by.
out of the door,
Hmm.
there's no room to
Hmm.
really, it's like chairs,
Hmm.
and then chairs, and
Hmm.
then the little pews or whatever, the
Hmm.
rows of whatever you get to sit on. But it's not, it's a crowded kind of space, because the
Yeah.
lectern is always being shoved and moved.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think it's an emotional thing sometimes when the state's like, it's their turn.
So today,
But
and
what I was saying about being in a room with somebody like that, I'm like, this is just a regular human. And oh my goodness, to turn into like a monster
mhm,
like that and create that kind of horror and violence, it just struck me as that. And then I went through my own life experience,
mhm,
remembering a really bad person that I know that would turn into a completely different person like that. So I started thinking, oh, it's a, I guess you could say that any criminal has mental health problems, but it's that fast switch that made me think. And then I felt like, oh, I was in a room with this person when I was just, I wanted to be. And then I'm like, ugh,
Right,
can I get
right,
clean enough?
right.
How
That's
many
why
showers can a person take in
I
one
feel like I
night?
need a shower after watching it online. So what what and I mean I'm not kidding. I really do. It's just
I know
gross.
you're not. That's why I'm
Um
laughing.
mm, it what was it that he said where he turned? Can you
He
remember
didn't there. I was just thinking
in your
about,
head? Okay. Okay.
because you know me, Dawn, when I watch a trial, when I'm interested in a specific trial, I take a lot in and I'm interested in all the details.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking about the ME being up there and Austin being up there, and just knowing what this human did was, I guess, overwhelming or awesome in the true sense of the word. Like, it's eye-opening in a way that I'm 66 and I'm like, oh my God, there are people like this. And I'm always surprised, and
Right. Right.
I don't get it. It just, and that's good, because my
Mhm.
dear friend is a therapist, and she said the reason that we don't understand things is a good reason, because your
Okay.
brain doesn't work that way.
Right. That's
Like
true.
how, but Dawn, if you want to ask other things, I took notes for
Well,
you.
I want to ask you. Great. I want to hear your notes. I do want to ask you because you just mentioned the ME. I wonder how strong the rebuttal is going to be, how long and strong the rebuttal is going to be, and I wondered if they'll bring the ME back because Silverman, the prosecutor, one of the two prosecutors, was asking a lot of detailed questions of Baker about, did you know he was gone when you were when you walked away? Did you confirm that
Right, and
Fabio was,
she was asking for specifics,
and
and I
then
actually caught that it went against what the ME angle was. I was like,
are
"Oh,
you
that's
proud of
wrong."
me? Are you proud of me?
You knew that? I thought you don't even pay attention to the gory stuff.
I don't,
If nobody
but
knows, Dawn is squeamish about she's like fierce yet squeamish.
fierce yet squeamish. But I only picked it up on today because she was asking, and then he even said, Baker even said today that he went back on the patio. She's like, you went back on the patio? So I
And
think she
let
couldn't.
me remind you that last week he said that Fabio stood up
Mhm.
and fought, and he did not. He was in that chair, attacked in that chair, passed in that chair, found in that chair.
Mhm.
So
How
these
would you know that
details
he didn't
was
stand up once and
because
fall back down? What the ME said. What did he say?
I believe the ME, I believe the 911 call ordering Isabella to try to get him off the chair onto the ground to do
But couldn't
CPR.
he have fallen back on the
He
chair or
was slumped over in the chair.
right? But couldn't
Slump.
he have gotten up, gotten
Highly
hurt?
unlikely to land your butt exactly in the right way on a chair
Well, he could
when
have pushed him.
your brain isn't working and you have no oxygen. You'd be like, whoa, it's not going to be
Well,
a
but he would
straight.
have oxygen and stuff at first. I mean, he could have like hurt him and then pushed him back down into the chair. And maybe even Austin could have held him there, like so he wouldn't get back. I don't know. I was just thinking, what do you
Well, we can
it'd be hard to
all
say
like
definitively.
imagine, and we will never know, but
Mhm.
I listened a lot to a lot of details that were
Okay.
spread out forever.
So it seemed like he never
And
got up.
medically, to me,
Uh-huh.
and the way it was explained, found, called, Austin's point of view, and how everybody said where Fabio would be sitting and the way he
Oh,
would
yeah.
be.
Yeah.
They went right there,
Ambush.
held him down,
That's what it seemed like. Oh,
and that was that.
okay. Yeah.
So it makes no sense that he would be. uh, Baker really flubbed all the details up, and remember, it wasn't even going to be included that Austin did anything, and he's claiming he screwed up one knife versus two.
Mhm. Mhm.
Austin says two. Levine was super into the one knife theory. That shot now.
Yeah,
So,
I know the two knives, and then
I'm a good guy. He's going to be the lookout. I'm watching out for
obviously
everybody.
Austin is much more believable and likable and sympathetic character than
Yes, he is
Baker.
not repulsive, but you have to. I was sitting there during his testimony reminding myself
Well,
of what he did without
sure.
serious question
Mhm.
or trepidation. That is
I had
big.
a thought
I was
about that.
laughing at Exotic Prairie. That's
I know.
coming up soon.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get. Okay, so I had a thought today about um, Baker's history with children, with young ones, shall
Right.
we say, and how he was actually Austin was a young one to Baker. So he was his uncle. And I'm like, what a creepy uncle, right? And you got to wonder, just like he preys on people that are young, right? And it's just, he's so not a man. Like, you know what I mean? He preys on people like younger than him and smaller than him.
Except the theory's blown with Monica. You have to assume he was after the girls eventually. Or what was he hanging in there for? Or just
Well,
amused
that
in
doesn't
the.
mean he only exclusively. I'm just saying
Well,
what
that would.
Austin had in
He was
common with the young
he was really
girls.
proud of the 14/15-year-old.
Well, I'm just saying Austin was also a young one that he preyed
I
on.
don't think I think he was just, I don't know what Austin's father was into. That's my
And
curiosity.
is he
Why
alive?
are they best friends in the South? Yes, I
Is
think so.
Yeah, and what does he have to say about this?
What kind of life? It was always like some lascivious stuff going on. I get the feeling with
I didn't pick
Baker.
up
There was
on that.
always.
Well, with Baker, yes, but I didn't pick up on that with and I
Right.
didn't
So,
get any
but
background with Austin.
why was Baker best friends with Austin's dad?
Well,
So
yeah,
Austin, loving his dad, is going to welcome Unc into the family,
because they
and
grew
then
up
Unc is going
together.
to introduce him to a lot of things young, like P. Diddy style.
Well, they
Come to
grew
my
up together.
party.
They grew up together, which is different than them becoming best friends as adults and meeting like he met the guy who owned the dance club. They didn't meet when they were adults.
The dance club.
Um, Austin's father and Baker grew up together. They knew each other when they were little. And so there are a lot of
Oh,
friendships, especially
right.
that men have, that they keep even though they're not in the same like class. So I don't want to assume anything about Austin's father just because
Right.
I'm
I'm just
sure
curious.
that's what
It
I'm
wasn't
saying.
like he's my friend. They were saying best friends,
Yes.
continued best friends through adulthood
Which
until this crime happened.
which makes it even more sickening that he would have preyed on his best friend's kid and dragged him into this mess. Like that's just disgusting. Like he just had to have somebody with him. He even said that in his testimony today. I just had to have. It's like, no, you didn't. Do it yourself. Do it yourself, or
No,
hire
he was.
somebody who wants to
Well,
do this.
that's the only thing that might make sense to me, is that he actually didn't want to be in that spot, but that would make no sense just sitting in a car 50 yards away while he dropped Austin off at the strip mall, which was great information because Baker's admitting to that attempt, even though his time is wrong. And no one knew about this until Austin confessed, till he did his proffer.
And doesn't that remind you of also of Dan Markel case? There was another attempt. We didn't know about it. There's so many similarities to that case.
Yeah, it's taken 8 years. The children are brainwashed. The families are at odds, some of the grandparents don't see the grandchildren and vice versa, and cousins, and it's
Right.
sad.
It's awful. It's just awful. And then here's something Baker said today. I don't know if you picked up on this. Let me know what you think. At one point, he said it had to be done before he left town, which was also very similar to the Dan Markel. Like, I can understand why with Dan Markel, because there was going to be a court hearing as soon as he returned from town, and Wendy was
Right.
going to
That
possibly go
is,
down. But why was that? Because Monica wanted it done? What was
that was
the
a very reasonable analogy. Yes, it's that we tried it and flubbed it before. We don't know how many other attempts with other people that didn't happen over the months. We only know about Austin because he told the day before one, and we know about the one that happened. But if you think about it in those terms, perhaps it was tried months earlier on a different trip with a different person that didn't
well,
happen.
I kind of
So it's like, we
he was
got to
kind of
do it.
married to Austin being
He's always
involved.
going out of town, so it just didn't have to be right then.
Right. Why did it have to be? But I did get the impression too, and this is something I don't know, we talked about last week, but it was talked about in the chat a little bit last week. Fabio seemed to know something was up, and he was saying Fabio wasn't leaving. He was staying home. He had been home for like 3 days. And so it seemed like Fabio kind of knew something was going to happen. Not necessarily that he was going to be taken out, but that maybe she was going to leave him, or, he might be confronted, something like that. But he wouldn't. There was all this mystery about why he was home from work. And he didn't really have a medical procedure. And
No,
this,
that's up in the odds whether he had a colonoscopy or not. That
right.
was never
So,
made clear.
so I got the impression that Fabio really did know something was afoot. Not necessarily what happened, but something was not.
Well, I think he suspected Monica many
She was
times of
cheating.
infidelity,
Right. But
but
only
I
this
don't think it was
time.
going to change much.
But it seemed like this time something was really different because he was staying home from work and not leaving the house.
Except they said he occasionally did it and he would work there or there. So it
No,
wasn't
but
that
they were
big of a
very
deal.
specific about today. I don't know. I think it was Baker, so I don't know how much to believe, but it tied into what the other testimony was. And he is saying he had not left the house for 3 days. I mean, except for maybe some errands or something. And
Right, but his
so,
friend was over and they were drinking and smoking cigars and trying to fix the power washer. It sounded like he had a nice weekend until it started raining or whatever. A typical
I don't know. I just think
California.
he knew what was up. He knew something was happening.
I think he knew something was amiss ever since they had that noticeable discord between them in that one trip. Was that Hawaii? I think that's when
The last
Fabio's like,
trip.
not this again, Monica.
Well, and
I mean,
yeah, and then the last trip to Las Vegas too, when it turns out that Baker and they were in town the same time that Fabio and Monica were in town. At least Fabio was in town. So yeah, I think.
Exotic Prairie, I don't think he seemed to care about the money aspect because she spent what she wanted to.
Can you read the question for anyone who might be listening and not watching?
Exotic Prairie 35. Fabio was going to put a stop to Monica spending too much money, maybe. I
Oh,
think it was more of a. I don't like how they were doing a little bit of victim blaming. Whose testimony? Oh, it was when Anna was up. That upset me, where they were going for.
twice she did.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's never good.
she
Hi,
disparaged
Carla.
Fabio twice. Can you remember both times? You want to say which both times it was? She said he was jealous.
Like a jealous rager
Jealous.
with a get your own. Who are all
And
these smokers, by the way, in
he was
California?
jealous, and he was loud. And then what was the other thing that she said about him? It'll come to me, but she disparaged him too. I
Yes, and it
picked up
was
on
it
that.
was very. It hurts to hear that kind of stuff. I don't like that. It
Yeah,
bothered me to listen to
Carla.
it.
Oh,
Carla,
nice.
Carla.
Carla.
Um, but what I want to tell you are a few things you can't know unless you're in that courtroom,
Hotel. Okay, great.
which is Marty made a really interesting commentary because we were talking to Chris, who has that trial TV live small channel. He's a nice guy. So I watch this trial on his channel sometimes. And we talked to the chat after we got out. And Marty was like, the thing that's really interesting is everybody already knows the jurors have to sit in a hallway. There is no room for them. So they're in the same hallway that I'm in, that the attorneys are in. And there's a lot of whispering and gesturing. And Marty's like, they can see the behavior of the teams, and that's probably not a good idea. you know, you know what I mean? Like they're seeing who's whispering to who, and
Yeah,
hey,
you mentioned that last
Molly,
week.
happy birthday to your grandson.
Yeah, you had mentioned that last week. That's interesting. Marty said the same thing. That so the jurors don't have a jury room. They just take their breaks
They
in
just
the
lay on
hallway.
these oppressive benches in this hallway, and the bathrooms aren't that large, so it's like in a women's room, like 4 stalls, 1 or 2 that doesn't close.
So they share. So they take their breaks in the hallway where everyone else goes for the hallway,
Right.
and they use the same bathroom that the public uses, and
And the attorneys
the lawyers too. Okay.
and the family and the victims. Everybody's there.
Well,
I've
yeah,
met more people in
the
that
gallery.
bathroom
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
than in the and then
Yeah,
with
that's
jurors, I'm
weird.
like, am I supposed to say hello? Should I be mean and rude? Do I ignore them? Because I'm a novice.
I wouldn't say anything personally, but
Well, you can't.
I'd be
You're
afraid.
I can
You
do
can
a
smile or nod. Yeah.
yeah. It was like a very slight nod because I felt like I was being kind of nasty after a while. Like I don't know. It's socially it's awkward.
Sure. Yeah. Well, they shouldn't
So
be out there with everybody else in the first place.
I mean, we don't need the notes about the testimony because we can watch that. I'm going to definitely watch today more thoroughly because I was
I
in
will
and
too.
out. What I was noticing, and this was Friday, that the jurors, this was when Levine was still on the direct. The jurors are largely not paying attention to Baker and or his car stories. I don't know. That's something about them. They're like, it's probably that pass out dust after.
His car stories?
He
What do
was
you mean?
talking about um, his own cars and what he drives and then the rentals or whatever. He was trying to, I think, introduce that he's going to say it was normal for him to have rental cars, no big deal, that this ex-lover or current lover rented it for him. He's just not able to stay focused. But like the jury kind of checked out when Levine was still up. They were stopped taking notes. Very few look at Monica. The ones that are paying attention, which is especially juror 1 now because they used to be an alternate, so it's almost like I'm on my best jury number 1 behavior. It's kind of adorable.
Aw.
Uh
Did you see Monica's face early on when Baker came initially on the witness stand?
this one,
And no, early on. So it would have been when he first came on last week. So early on, like within the first 5-10 minutes, did you see her face when he said, and I did a short, I don't know if I did her face or not, but when he said, I'm smart, I'm a smart guy. Did you see her face? It was of all her faces.
I did not see her face.
Oh,
I was not watching her face.
you have to. You have to.
I will go back and watch her
I
face.
was almost on the floor laughing, crying so hard. I mean, it was so funny. So anyone in the chat, if you know what I'm talking about, I did do a short. I think I did. Yeah, I must have done her face because the camera's not been doing a lot of B-roll, but they have with her, and they just happened to catch her. And she's been making it was the normal, like crazy, pouty, weird face, but only she was mad too. And it was just, it was almost like,
I think Monica's so worn out making Mana faces because she only has a handful, and it's such a long trial that her face seems like it's actually getting tired, and we rarely see a genuine look. So maybe that was genuine what you saw.
what I was trying to, what I was saying is that it was like the looks. However, this time, this is the first time I've seen it, and there was some after that, but when he said, because I'm a smart guy, and then he realized it didn't laugh, so he's like, with that stupid gross
I thought he meant it, that he's a smart guy.
And she looked over like she had her face going already with the pout and the weird whatever that is, but she looked over almost like a couple who's been together for 50 years, like, oh God, not this again, like that kind of a weird. It was just like
I'll have to check it out. I'm not
combination.
familiar with that.
Okay. I was just curious if you saw that, like even from the side, because she was, and then I realized when I was watching her, when he came on, she really looked like a chimpanzee a lot, like that lower jaw jutting out, and it kind of just reminded me that he kind of treated her like she was a trained chimpanzee in a lot of ways. So anyway, carry on.
This is going to go on for another couple of days,
Of course.
It seems like it's winding down.
Oh, well, there's going to be rebuttal too.
For the cross. But yeah, the one thing this judge allows is recross, re-rebuttal, re, and that. So
no holds
I
barred
don't
on
believe that Beth Silverman will let anything go on this, and she is prepared. And it seemed like maybe it was obvious the team after trial Friday were discussing to be ready with all of the audio visual for today and probably tomorrow. Although they really went through, I agree. Lily says Levine is horrible, in my opinion. He's challenging. That's for sure. He seems
Okay, so Carlos says he looks at her when he says certain. He looks at Monica when he says certain. And Lily is saying Levine is horrible. So do you think that Levine, so the jury is kind of feeling contempt for Levine like the chat does, like Lily says?
It's different there because the first time we went, I noticed that the chat vibe was way different than what I saw the jury or how Levine presented in person. At the beginning, he was better than you would think, but that was short-lived, in my opinion.
He was. I agree. He was. I would say.
I really think he needs some. I don't know. I don't think he's sharp.
He's better at this whole. He's been better throughout.
He screwed this whole case up because he let everything in. We'll see that letter tomorrow.
But I will say that I totally agree. Like the judge, so normally there are rules about direct examination and then cross, and then the rules for redirect, for anyone who is watching and isn't aware of what you were just mentioning, is that the redirect can't just be a free-for-all. I'm going to start asking questions. It has to be based on what the cross was. So Levine should only be redirecting based on what Silverman's cross was, and that's not happening. He's bringing all kinds of stuff in, and then Silverman will go back. So you're right. It's just like, are there any rules in the? I think this judge is completely let this go out of control. That's my opinion. I know you don't feel that way, but the
reason that I don't is because I realize that everyone there, Judge Cohen and this, and the defense attorney and the ADAs, they've been with this from before they were arrested. They have lived this case. They have lived through the motions. They know it so well. I think the judge is very mindful about not having any appeals, and he's handling all the sub confession sentencing. And I do think he's wasteful of the jurors' time, but then once you're there, you realize the sleep dust is in the room and the elevators don't work and it's hard to stay there. Those days feel long.
So what do you mean by that? So for anyone who doesn't understand Mona means, okay, I'm starting to learn Mona's language. So because there's sleep dust, so the jury, you can lose the jury, and so he's trying to keep the days short because of their attention span. They're having to deal with the confinement of this small courtroom, the fact that they don't have any space outside of everybody else, as just mentioned, like they have to go on break in the hall. Also, LA traffic, right? They have to deal. It probably takes them 2 hours in the morning to get there and 2 hours to get home. So they're
you can't park in that building. So
I
have no, I just can't even imagine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's hear more about your notes. Are there more notes? Okay.
Okay. For note taking, and this is watching for hours, there is juror number 7 that does not talk to other people in the hallway breaks. Seems like they are by themselves. I don't know how to phrase it any differently than that. And this juror takes copious notes in detail about every single thing through every testimony that I've been there for and everything that's going on. And I would imagine that would be somebody, whatever he thinks, he is not going to give it up when they finally have a room to converge in.
Gotcha.
Because he's by himself with his own thoughts, with copious notes, and I don't see other people going buddy over, talking. You see little, hey, how's it going? And not with that particular person. So, it's only one person that's going to have a different feeling. So
maybe
it might be a whole jury.
Where are they going to convene? So is the judge sequestering the jury when they go out for deliberation? Are they going to go to a hotel because they don't have a room? Are they going to sit in the hallway?
Oh no, what I'm assuming are the way that everything's scheduled so drag outingly in our system in Los Angeles is that they try to time it so the one juror room on each floor is available for deliberation.
Wow.
Because I know you were into that ASAP Rocky trial, and that was 2 courtrooms away, and it's a long hallway. So there are multiple trials going on.
So there's a jury room. Well, yeah, of course. So there's a jury
I'm assuming
room.
they have to have one.
Well, my guess, it was a 2-part question. Is the judge going to sequester the jury? Do you know that?
No way. Are you kidding?
Well,
he just mumbles his.
I know. Yeah, don't talk about it.
Okay, bye. Okay.
Horrible.
Have a good night. Okay, I'll see you in a week. By the way, if any of you have any jobs and you have to go back to work for a week, now you know.
I know that mumble judge, not my favorite. Okay. What else do you got? What other goodies do you have?
Oh, okay. As far as, it's really hard to see because I wanted to have like laser beams so I could figure out what juror that was actually looking up where they're looking. And I say there's a potential of 4 people that at least occasionally look at the defendant. And I think, now remember, there are only 2 females left on this jury, 2 females and 10 men. So the one juror that seems like when you see Monica trying to make contact, in my best guesstimation, is a female middle or late middle-aged woman who does look there a lot more than anybody. So I don't know if that means anything, but it's just an observation. And then there's one that Marty and I call intense guy. It's just so tight, man. And just, he's just, I don't even know how he can sit there. And then there are two men that will watch back and forth when the attorney starts with the question. And they did watch Austin, and they did watch Baker, but not as much as you would think. I would be just totally glued.
Yeah, but you're a detail person too, so. But okay, so back to the first one. So let's take these in 4 parts, because you mentioned 4 jurors. So, and I'm not going to ask you anything about the juror in particular, but the one who is the middle-aged woman. So if there's only 2 women on the jury, wouldn't you think that her attorneys are probably saying, if you can connect to the females, Monica, you should, because...
Yeah, because that's what Blair Burke is sitting there doing.
Exactly.
She's staring at the jury, and she's right at Monica's left.
Oh, and so...
And baby lawyer female sometimes watches the jury too.
Of course, yeah. And does the prosecution have anyone watching the jury? Do you know?
I don't think so, but remember, the 2 detectives are still there, sitting right behind the prosecution.
But not lawyers. Okay. I was thinking about that.
They're the investigators, they're detectives, and they,
Sure.
My favorite line, by the way, for when Mitzi Roberts came back on was, in my opinion, I know how people behave in my experience. And this is suspect. This is the big the big keeper on the list side. That was...
Yeah. So Monica's probably been advised to try to connect to the female juror, or maybe just the one.
The other one's quite young.
I didn't get to see today much, but like you said, your other point about how it seems like her facial gestures are tiring out. She's just getting tired. I kind of picked up on that but I took it differently. I thought, oh, they probably told her to tone it down, because Friday was like, whoa, with the faces, just crazy with the faces. So, they might have said, look, cool down, be a little more neutral, because most defendants are advised to not be making
give no facial expression, and then the defendant will say that later. I was told not to show any emotion.
That's right. So it took him a month to do it, but it seemed like today she was toned down a little, possibly for that reason. I don't know. We'll never know, probably.
Well, I'm assuming that she has 2 different expensive attorneys, and they're underlings, so they're not in the same office, because I looked both of them up.
Right, they're separate.
And
yep.
Burke.
Yep.
And Burke doesn't really like attention, but she gets a lot of work done. So I find it interesting that she's watching the jury, and we certainly know that Jessica got notes from day 1 to day 2. So I'm assuming they're on it, because remember her first day and then her presentation the day after that, it was completely different.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay. And Lily says, I wonder what the jurors think, and which was what you were talking about. And then you said the other 2 of the men. Yeah, it is kind of exotic prairie. Says it is like theater. And Carla says, I'm shocked that Deborah Obad was not a witness for the state. She might still be.
Oh, I think she's going to be a rebuttal witness and hostile.
For the prosecution? Okay.
Yes. How could she not be there? And how could Birdsong not be there?
They're going to make an appearance. I don't know about Birdsong. I feel like he's got some kind of deal going, but okay. And maybe just he just, I don't know. We'll see. But I think it's going to make an appearance. I think she's going to make an appearance. I don't know about Birdsong. I feel like he's got some kind of deal going, but okay. And maybe just he just, I don't know. We'll see. But okay. going to say I'm going to do the 5th because I don't want to implicate myself. He's got
Yeah, I was wondering
fingerprints.
if he did,
Yeah.
and that's why he's not.
Right. But Obed should be on. I think it's still not. I mean, we're not done yet. So now we have to wait. And I don't know if everybody heard this today, but again, there won't be court 4 days of next week. So only Friday of next week will be court. So we'll see how far they get. I don't get the impression that they expected the jury to be out for deliberation before next week. So I think the defense has more witnesses up their sleeves. So now you said the 2 men were watching like ping pong balls, like a
There
ping
are
pong
2.
game.
There's one that was very attentive from the get-go, and he's tiring a little bit. But then the new juror number 1, who was an alternate, I really feel like he's like, I'm going to do the best job.
That's great.
I'm juror number 1. I'm here for the run. And I will tell you, there's a female alternate that has such an expressive face. I would be shocked if she is not 100% sure that the defendant is guilty. The faces that she's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very expressive.
That's how I would probably be. I'd be so bad at that. Okay.
Well, I
what
was
else?
good. I didn't laugh at all the last 2
Good
times I
girl.
went.
What else do you have in your notes?
Let's see. Let's see if there's anything juicy here. Oh, you don't want to hear some of these because I was complaining about somebody in the gallery.
Okay. We don't want to hear that. We don't want that.
4, 5, 6, and 12 occasionally look at Monica briefly. And that whole, I always wanted to go to Myrtle Beach thing, that was all weird.
That is, who wants to go to Myrtle Beach when you have Pebble Beach? That didn't make any sense. That was such a lie. It's such a lie. Myrtle Beach, please. Okay, so let's talk about
when Levine was up, Silverman was working so hard. If anybody was wondering why there weren't more objections during Levine's, she was just getting her notes together, and the 2 DAs really work closely with each other in communication, and it's long for them too. It's a lot of work, and I'm glad you brought that up because I noticed in the chat a couple of times when I've looked at the chat, which is not very often, but if Silverman or I forgot the other one's name, I just wrote it down. If they are not objecting when they should, people get really wound up in the chat. But that's exactly what I was thinking, exactly what you just said. I'm glad you said it because I had a feeling she was like vigorously writing notes. And sometimes it's better strategically to let the lawyer do things the opposition ask questions. Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. And also what you were saying
for the chat. My sentence. It's sometimes better to let the lawyer from the opposition ask questions that they're really not supposed to, because they might pull out a piece of information that the Silverman might have been looking for that she's not allowed to ask. So there's probably a lot of that going on too. So if we're in the chat and the lawyers aren't objecting when we think they should, there might be a strategic reason for it. Yeah.
Well, every other page I wrote, jury is so bored.
That's not good. That's not good. All right. So what did you think of today? So we went off for the weekend and now we've got Baker back. What did you think about this cross?
This is what I thought.
Even last week, where it started last week.
I felt like the way that Silverman came in super hot, I had to think that she knows what she's doing and why she came in that hard, calculating I will be with him this long, let it reverberate, and then I'll come back on Monday and do my neurosurgery with precision, which is what I felt like today was. It was just completely make false of any of his claims and show how ridiculous all of his stories are. I thought she did an excellent job today. And I did notice that when she came in really hot, the whole vibration of the room changed and it perked up the jurors. The voice and the pitch and the intensity. It was like, oh, Carla, you have to go for Deborah Obod's testimony.
So I loved the way Silverman, when it was so obvious, time after time, hour after hour, word after word, when Baker was making things up out of thin air, or not, or saying he doesn't, whatever he was saying he didn't remember, and she would be like, okay, and like you, with such sarcasm.
Well,
But
a lot of those were objections that were sustained when she did that.
no, she did it all day long. She wasn't objected to hardly at all. I mean, when she got really argumentative, sure. I'm just talking about when she was like, you can't object to somebody saying, okay. You can't object to that. But the way the tone of voice was just like I would, if somebody were telling me a bold-faced lie, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, sure, okay. And then she continued. Yeah. She got by with that all day long. And
it reminded me of Georgia when she's in the Adelson cases, how she shows what she says through her facial expressions and tone and carefully chosen words. It makes it so obvious to the jury what they're thinking.
Yes, so. without stepping over the line for the most part. There were a couple times she did, but that's okay. I mean, to how many times Levine did it. Okay, something I noticed last week really annoyed me about the defense, and this going back a few days now. One of the tactics, I really don't like it, and it's mostly the female defense attorney. I forget her name. What's her name again with the Southern accent?
Burke. B-E-R-K. Blair Burke.
Blair Burke. So this objection, facts not in evidence, when they're obviously in evidence. And what that is that's really crappy, low, dirty lawyering, because you're telling the jury, oh, that wasn't in evidence. So now they got to think about it. Wait, I thought I heard that, right? And she kept doing it. And Silverman would be like, that is in evidence. Like at first she was like, and the judge would just overrule or whatever. But then she kept doing it. And Silverman was like, it is in evidence. And then she started questioning and pulling the evidence back out and catching her on it and just like confronting her. I don't know if you picked up on that, but it was really dirty of Burke to do that, because when you have which shows me they don't have very much going for them, because you have a jury who, to your point, is so tired and bored. And then you have this person saying facts not evidence, that they're going to remember that. They're going to be like, oh, that's not in evidence, right? That's dirty. That's really dirty. I would think that after a while she would have been admonished for that. She was doing it a lot. Did you pick up on that?
Well, you notice that Judge Cohen has been calling the attorneys up to his
more frequently.
He's I mean, they are not following the rules as agreed upon.
No.
And a lot of drama is happening as this speeds up. It's like an orchestra that's like this, and it's like dun, 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 dun. All the kettle drums are coming in right now. Everybody's waking up, the energy shifted, and the attorneys know that it's coming close, so they have to fight furiously for whatever side they're fighting for.
Yeah, well, it just screams of desperation. If I were on the jury as a potential juror, it's like, this just looks desperate.
When I came in on Friday, Burke was chatting up one of the detectives and making her way through the courtroom, and that was the most social that I observed on the few days that I was there. And she had extra extra baby lawyers there that were sitting in the gallery. So she had a lot of her people there, and she was very energized and feeling pretty good on Friday.
Hmm. Yeah, she's not a super likable person, that's for sure. So she's going to need to do something extra. So also today really became so obvious with Baker, and I don't know if you picked up on this, but tell me what you think. But there were so many, especially the last half of today. This man cannot form complete sentences. Like he would answer things in the weirdest way, like just say a word, like what was the one? Cautious. Like she's asking, did you go into the kitchen first, and how did he not see you, and what did you do? Cautious. One word. Like what does that even say? Remember? It's like, does he have any vocabulary? Does he have the ability? Because he's losing his ability to form sentences anymore.
I know,
I
and then he'll come up with like a decent vocabulary word, and I'm like, "What? He just said verbiage after I don't be doing that no more or something." I'm like, "What?" And
I
then
know.
I thought he would start stuttering more, which he didn't. He's exhausted, and he's like, "I'm tired. I don't
They're
know.
wearing him
I
out.
don't know."
And okay, here's one thing that really annoyed me. It was last week. I can't remember if it was the first day or the second day. I think you were there. And he said something about how he was cold because it was cold in that little cell. Like he's doing all these things where he's bringing up his physical discomfort. Today he was like, how, like he's got a side ache. Did you pick up on that? He was
Yeah,
great.
but guess what? They're
And
sitting in these
nobody
seats.
cares.
Nobody does care, but he's trying for like seeing him as a human.
Yes.
This is it for him. He's going back to his forever home as soon as this is over, and he's
This is
trying
it.
to prove this weird loyalty. I'm the king of being loyal to, I'm going to help my woman. Oh my goodness, he just
Which I don't
completely
even
fell
believe.
apart.
I don't believe any of that is true. I think that was all fake about, oh, I don't want their names to be out there. He doesn't care. And he doesn't.
He seemed to, because he lost it in person. We
I
saw it.
know. Yeah, I know you were there. I don't think, I think a lot of it was just fake. He was like, okay, I did my job for the defense. I want to figure out a way to get out of getting cross-examined by this woman who's so
I'm gonna
smart.
have to.
He
I
clearly
have to
doesn't like smart
disagree.
women. He clearly is intimidated by smart women.
He clearly has no respect for women, I agree, or understanding of the whole human being that a woman is. But that the jury was dismissed. The feed was cut off, and I
I
can
know.
tell you he was genuinely upset, and it was difficult for the judge to calm him down. I don't think it was an act. I think the defense promised him something of that kind of
Oh, they promised him that he wouldn't have to say their names or something.
right.
Well, the defense can't. I mean, they can't control what the prosecution
Marty
can ask.
believed in his loyalty thing, that he has this intense loyalty to protect his friends while he's an evil monster on the, I mean, it's duplicitous and duplicitous. They're a perfect couple, and it's the saddest thing ever that he didn't go alone and Fabio take him down. I'm very upset about that. I mean, when you really think about this, I
Yeah, I
wish
think
he
it's all
had
an act.
gone alone.
I don't find anything about him genuine. So
No,
I,
he's fallen apart at the seams, and he's a big liar. And I
but I get
told
what you're saying because but I think he's trying so hard to get out of that witness stand at this point. Now,
without having his testimony snuffed out.
questioned.
That's correct.
Yeah, yes. And did you also notice, oh gosh, what was I lost my train of thought. So on that same, okay, I just totally lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me. But he the side ache in the it seems like it's telling us he's a little baby. Like, oh mommy, I hear you. So he's used to getting out of things. He's used to getting sympathy. He's not getting any now at all.
I did snarkily write, I'm waiting for Baker to scream, "I want my mommy!"
Yeah,
exclamation point in a
exactly.
chat
That's what I'm
today.
saying. That's exactly it. And he's at that point now. It's like, this hurts, and oh, I cut my finger and it was bleeding. And it's like, oh,
Oh yeah, I feel so bad
oh,
for you
damn.
that Fabio grabbed your finger so hard that it hurt.
Oh,
Poor
that was so
baby.
maddening. That was maddening.
That's the only part I believe is that he really did grab him. That's the only part of the story. He's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
he remembers nothing. Oh,
Why would he say
they're
he's
gonna bring Austin back after this for rebuttal. They have to.
They have to. I mean, why would he say that Fabio stood up? What, to what end? What was the point of that? What did he
I don't
gain?
believe anything
I
at
know,
this
but what
point.
would he? That's the point. You're saying you don't believe it. I
Oh,
don't
I can
either.
tell you, as the sister of a compulsive liar, when they tell lies, they like to make details up to make it seem like it's a real thing. So it could be something as simple as that, is like, let me create the story that I'll soon believe myself if I tell it enough,
Mhm.
right?
That's true. Liars do start to add in weird details, and if they're
Okay,
given enough
Queen
time.
Olive has an important comment.
Okay, what
Snitches
is
get
it?
stitches.
Sit
Snitches get stitches. That's why he doesn't want names said. Is that what you're referring to, Queen
names of
Olive?
his
You know,
women.
if he's turning like if he's turning evidence against other people, it's like being a snitch, and maybe that's the part that
But
upsets
he's
him.
not turning evidence against any of these people. They're just asking, who were you married to? Right? Well, maybe I missed something.
No, that they asked about some other people that he associates with too, and he flat down the line was like, "I'm not talking about that." But
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he didn't want to talk about wife number one, who was the mother of not wife number three. I got so confused about
Yeah.
three,
Now we find
four.
out it's 5. I'm like, I've lost count. How many wives has he had? It's 5. Monica would have been
Ew,
6.
ew, who are? I feel so badly that anybody would even think to be with him for a minute.
Okay.
And
Yeah. It's bad.
My
But
big my
the
big
whole,
question of
I was
this
shocked.
trial is, what's up with all this racquetball and smoking? I'm so confused.
So, okay, so here's another thing I wasn't clear about. I thought he said he was 6. I thought it was in testimony that he was 6'2". He's not 6'2", is he?
Who, Baker?
Yes.
Oh, he's little. I'd be surprised if he was more than 5'7". I saw him coming
Oh,
in.
wow. And he looks little, and he looks like he's turtling in his suit. Like, you can tell he was doing a lot of turtling, but it came up. I could have sworn that it came up on Friday that he was 6'2", and I was like, what? How could he be 6'2"? He does not look 6'2". But I think it might have
I
been
don't think
another
I
lie.
don't I thought he was maybe 5'10",
Okay.
Fabio, and I know that I saw a Baker. I would be shocked if he's taller than
Right.
five.
That's why I'm asking.
And
Exactly.
I'm usually a pretty good estimator, but I don't know for sure.
That he's short. Yeah, that was, he didn't look 6'2" to me, even on camera, the way he was
Well,
sitting.
right, and
But
he was a regular on camera guy, and well, anyway, today, what my opinion is, big win for the state, and
oh
they
yeah.
will keep going for at least the morning tomorrow. And although it seems like they're running out of timeline, but I mean,
For the
Silverman
cross, you
could come
mean?
back refreshed and go, let me just clarify a few things. Because
Oh
what you
yeah,
were
because he
saying
didn't
about
answer.
how attorneys are only allowed to redirect or cross on whatever was already established in the testimony. That's why sometimes I see in chats people are like, why are they writing so hard? Because they're coming up with their next attack on this witness.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of writing. Yeah, that's right. Right. Yeah. Well, he wouldn't want to snitch on Monica for that reason. But he didn't want to say anyone's name, like any of his ex-wives and stuff. So
What a
Okay,
you
what
just
else do you have in your bag of notes there?
let's see if I have anything.
Because I just thought today was wild. Like I was in and out a lot, so I didn't get to pay
I'm not
attention.
going to talk about this part because I know you will get grossed out.
No, okay. I could leave.
No, then the three-way calls. That was crazy. They haven't even gone over that right now. They haven't
Three-way
even
call.
played some of those three-way calls that they were doing in jail, where Monica and Baker would call a third party, a woman or this
Oh,
sleazy lawyer,
his
and then they would
sister.
get to talk to each other directly. That's going to
Mhm.
be played. Oh, she's not finished. I should have realized that, because now they're already going over their over here. So they're certainly going to get into the jail letters that they
Remind
used.
with Baker, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Remind me again, Mona, did you get an idea of how long this was supposed to go? Or like
No one
most of
has a
the time the
witness
judge will say
list. There are
most
no witness lists.
we know
There are
that, but most of the time the judge will say, like Everett with the Dan Markel trial, it's 3 weeks. You've got 3 weeks. Figure it out, right? Do we
what
have that
what did
from
they
this?
originally call it for?
Who?
6 weeks?
I'm
Like,
asking you. I don't know.
I thought maybe they were saying 4 to 6 weeks, but I'll have to
Okay.
go up
Oh
back to
yeah, you're
verify
probably right.
that.
4 to 6. Okay, so if it were 6 weeks, we've got this week, and then next
When
week
did
is a wash, and then we have another week after next week because next week they're not there pretty much. And then
there's going to be a long
about 3 more
closing?
weeks. 3 more weeks at least. Probably 3 to 4 more weeks then to be
If the
really.
judge doesn't give time limits on closing, this trial could last another month.
That's what I'm saying, 3 to 4 more weeks. Yep,
Yeah,
4
it
more
could.
weeks. Yep.
I hope not.
Okay.
But I
Well,
believed him. Lily said the judge said he guaranteed to be finished by Christmas. Actually, Lily, first he said Christmas, and then he went Christmas 2026 on another one of his little jokey
yeah,
jokes.
those are his
But I
funny
believed him
jokes
when he,
because he's so funny. Okay, Mona likes this judge. I can't stand him. We totally disagree on this
I don't, because
judge.
it's 100% a different experience to
I
see
know.
someone
I know. I
in
don't. You can
person.
say whatever you want. I'm not gonna like him. Doesn't matter. I've already made my opinion. But it's
Wait a
okay.
minute. You
It's
can't
okay.
even be negotiated with?
No, because I'm not there, and I don't want to. I don't want to change my opinion. I've
I'm
got a
not there and
complete
I don't
case
want to.
against
I
him.
love it. That's fabulous. Um,
I
I
don't want.
think I really do think they're finishing up because who could be left for the defense? I think Baker could be on for another 3 days just to wear him down because he's going to cave. And then, I don't think Monica will testify to you. I think that would be
That would be
a
another month.
terrible. That would be a
No, I
terrible
don't think
idea.
so. I don't think the way Silverman would take her apart, there's no way they would let her testify. I mean, she has the right if she wants to insist, but she doesn't strike me as somebody who would insist. Like she doesn't strike me as a very assertive
Independent thinker.
person, right? Or assertive, which is what it would take with lawyers saying no. You'd have to be really assertive, right? Or independent. Yeah, I don't. I think she's going to do what she's told, pretty much.
Well,
Um,
I'd be shocked. So maybe Deborah Obad will testify for the defense. Maybe Birdsong will testify for the defense. Who else could? What did Sheila's husband come in yet? Was that? I can't remember
you
his
said he
name.
didn't. You said he didn't come in yet. No, there was a wife. There was a husband and a wife. So Sheila was married to somebody
And
else. And that other guy, the wife.
the
But I don't think
wife
he would.
the wife would not be for defense. She could be rebuttal because
Correct.
he loathed the behavior that was going on and would not be in Camp Monica.
Yeah. All right. So okay. So Chat and Mona, unless you have more notes.
I'll,
I got
while
I got
you
one more
while
question
you
for you.
see whatever the chat says, I
Okay,
am
well, my
looking.
question is for the chat and for Mona. So, what do you what did you pick up on today about Baker? And I'm not talking about, well, I'll leave it wide open. Something he testified to, his personality, whatever. What did you pick up on today that you didn't pick up that was new from last week? Because
Oh, that was new?
that
That
was
he's falling apart at the seams at a strong woman.
okay.
I think he's going to lose his temper again and have to be controlled, because it would not surprise me if part of Silverman's attack is to make him even more and more unnerved. You can't just sit there and say, I don't remember, I don't remember, I don't remember, but I remember everything, but I don't remember anything.
Right. I remember all these details, but I don't remember
He's
those.
just like,
I
I'm
know.
surprised he's giving up so easily, actually. He looked pretty beaten up today to me. Like,
He did.
just
Okay. And chat, if you want to weigh in. And then also, Mona, one of the things, and I again, chat, help us out here, Mona. I know you and I both were kind of in and out a lot today, so you weren't watching just like the way you normally would.
right.
It
I was
seemed
listening to
like
a lot.
he was doing less looking over to Monica today. Now, one of the things that really unnerved me about him is this whole kept doing this looking over at her with the side eye. You're not looking at me. I'm doing my Baker.
Oh, okay. I was
As if we
I
can't see that. And then
it's
he'll do it with
because
the jury a little bit too. It's like, hey, we can see that, dodo. He's such a dodo. But he didn't seem to be doing that as much. And I wondered if you think the defense told him to stop doing those weird side glances at Monica. Because he
I
was
think he
watching
was
her.
more I think he was more excited to see her Friday than he was today. Like, couldn't resist doing the and she did a little bit of it, but she really behaved pretty well. And there was a point where it looked like her vapid expression was either thinking about what she's going to have for lunch, or how could I have ever liked this guy? I couldn't figure out what.
I hope the latter is true. You would think that the whatever she saw has worn off now. You would think.
I don't know, man. They are really, they were so intensely into each other, like two
Right.
15-year-olds that discovered love in high school as
Right.
freshmen.
So
Yeah.
I was thinking there would be some kind of that. Obviously, she's got to make it look like she hates him now. But when did that happen? Like, they haven't built that story. They can't unless she testifies.
Well, she was trying to look horrified at first when he was telling his defense story, but like, it's almost like her brain can't figure out which face to make when
When
she's going
I
to.
know. When he was trying to say what
When
was
when he first came there, first she was trying to do this,
right,
and then when he was talking about it, she's trying to look horrified, and it just wasn't working
right,
for me.
right. She sure tried, didn't she?
I
She
I
really
think so, but it looked like even in person that she just forgot to even try. She was just kind of sitting there and
or maybe
not
they
really
told her to
looking
knock
over
it
that
off.
much.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think trying to see her sister, but not really.
Mm.
And the sister was too far behind her. It was the brother-in-law that she could really see if she turned.
Oh, okay. Which is probably best. And Lily
Yeah.
says she was enacting her fake mad face, which isn't working. Yeah, it's insane. That mad face is just wild.
Well, the first couple of weeks, anytime they would show a picture of Fabio, she would be going for the tissue.
Oh, yeah, like she really cared.
She just
Um,
loved him so much.
I
It was the
mean,
perfect marriage, according to both
unless
of her
she's got
children.
like two personalities or something, that we don't know about,
Right.
right?
I think that is the whole issue. She was living two different lives and
Mhm.
she wanted to live the fast, down and dirty one, and that was it.
Mhm.
I mean, the way she deserted her children afterwards
Oh,
is just remarkable.
right. So for anyone who's not watching this trial, Monica allowed or enabled her lover to go after her husband, and he who and her lover Baker testified today that divorce was out of the question. They did discuss it, um, and allowed for that to happen so that her daughter would find her father
Right.
bleeding. Yeah. So she wouldn't, because of course the person who finds the body is usually the one who did it, is usually the one that's looked at. So she made sure she wasn't the one who found him, which is frightening. And then went off and continued the affair immediately after this happened, and allowed her daughter, who was scared to be at home because this happened in the home, allowed her to be alone when she was scared, and just left her there. And in the indictment, they did mention potential child abuse charges, but I think those were probably dropped. So
Yeah. I mean, if that's like a trade-off, I am looking forward to that letter that Levine opened the door to, because I'm not familiar with that and I don't
what
believe
letter?
it. The
What letter?
letter that once Baker confessed, he wrote this long letter to Monica that's like a 7-page apology letter or something.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
defense did not want that in, but then Levine opened the door. So I'm interested in that letter being on that overhead projector. for,
The
for
defense didn't want it in? You would think
correct.
you would think it would
Because he probably got some of his one story all mixed up.
okay, right. Right, because it
He
sounds
said
on
something that they don't want in.
contrary, right? So it sounds on surface like it would be a great confession that she wasn't involved and it would exonerate her, but he's not that
Except
bright
did you
either. He's not that bright either, so there's probably a lot of flaws in the letter, and it
did
probably
you
doesn't
hear
stand up
did
to
you
it wouldn't stand
did
up to scrutiny in a courtroom. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. Finish my
did you
sentence.
hear the overhear that was played today with him saying he would lie for her? That's pretty much how they ended it, pretty close to that, while they were in the holding cell.
I don't remember that. So this
Yeah,
is why I have
that's
to
in
listen again. Wow.
yeah. And Silverman was just brazenly reading off that transcript, letting on him, like over and over, and she was ignoring some objections.
Some
Just
sustain.
straight
She was
through it.
ignoring some sustains. I did catch that part. Judge was like,
She
that was
was
a
just
sustain.
going. She
Yeah.
and I think she'll be going pretty at a pretty good click tomorrow,
Yeah.
and we will actually it'll turn into be anatomy of a person that does bad things to other people falling apart at the seams in front of our very eyes.
I
He
cannot wait to see it. I know, is it terrible? It's like I cannot
a
wait to
little
see this
bit,
man completely fall apart.
just a little bit.
Oh, because
No,
of what he
because you just
did.
want it's there's so much injustice in the world that we've all experienced, and I think that's the
Mhm.
magnet to watching a fair outcome in a trial that we get invested in, because it just makes you feel a little bit better that somebody was held accountable for a bad thing. And
Great point. Yeah,
that's kind
that's
of
why
what
we
we're
do.
doing.
That's why we watch
Well,
these
does
trials.
anybody have any more questions? Because my eat time is
No,
only
we have to
35.
wrap it up. So yeah, I was just going to say that. So we've been here for almost an hour and a half, and it's been fun as always. So do you think you're going to go back to the courtroom, Mona, again before the trial ends? You're done?
I really don't want to, but I really didn't want to before, and then all of a sudden really wanted to.
Yeah.
But my only curiosity would be, now that I've gotten to know the jurors so well, because I sit right in line with them. So I'm like the last alternate, just with a little
Oh, right, right.
baby wall. So that's how I'm watching it the last couple of times I was there, straight from that viewpoint.
Mm.
And the only thing I'd be interested in seeing is consistency in the personalities. And of course, if Monica testifies, I'm going to feel very motivated.
Oh, yeah. I know.
And
That was great.
hopefully it would work out. And Carla's going to have to come for that, because that would be
Oh, yeah.
worth the trip, no matter how much adulting gets in the way of driving 3 hours to go see Monica Sementilli on the
Mm.
and I'll look forward to it. It will be just like when Charlie Adelson went on. I couldn't even watch it. I had to just stop. I just couldn't. It was so repulsive to me. I couldn't listen to it anymore. It might be something like that, but I'd be shocked if she goes. Oh,
If she
I'd be shocked. I'm fairly certain her attorneys would not want that.
No, they definitely are going to advise her against that.
Oh,
So
and
shocked.
one other comment that I had, because you know how much I like to observe intensely. I watched how the attorneys looked at the beginning of the trial,
Mhm.
and I'm watching how the attorneys look now, this far into it.
Mm,
And
mhm.
there's a very noticeable change in the younger attorneys. They look like dark circles and exhausted. Okay, and then the the one defense attorney, Mr. Levine, he looks tired and he seemed a little confused to me, and I think he let too many windows open, and that will go against his client. And then um, the prosecutors seem more focused and energetic, and you could see that shift in the room. So I'm left alone. Does anybody have any other questions? I'm reading. Have a great trip, Carla, who's going to South Carolina. I think that might be where Burke's father practiced. You can say hi to Burke Sr., if that's what his name is. I think it's longer.
Thank you
Okay,
for
I
that.
did my best. I did
So,
my due diligence.
thank you for doing that. Yes. So we just had a wind storm and rain start, and I've got all these windows open, so I literally had to go, which I would love, but all my
Protect that catio, girl.
out there. So crazy story about that. I'm like, what is happening? I didn't know it's supposed to rain. It'll rain for like 3 minutes, and that'll be the end of it. So
Right,
anyway,
right. Maybe it'll be good. We've had some rain lately. It's gone.
yeah.
Not today.
Mona does not have her own YouTube channel yet. She does appear here quite often.
I have a
You have to talk her into it.
I have a thing, but I haven't saved anything on the thing on StreamYard. Like if I go to it, it knows me. That's the best I can say.
Yeah, you
No.
don't have any content yet, right?
No, and probably won't.
And she probably won't. Okay. But yeah, if you want her back, just let me know. We'll beg her to come back. We chat all the time. So this is just like what we do via text or phone calls.
Oh my God, did you see that today?
It's crazy.
Are you watching this trial? I don't want to watch this trial. You do want to watch this trial.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and Carla and I go back and forth too a lot. And Carla's been a guest on my show. She's out of town right now. So she is not going to be up in LA this week, I don't think. So anywho, okay, well, all right. So thank you guys all for being here in the chat, and for those replaying. If you have questions for Mona, especially because she has had some courtroom experience, or if you just want to chat about this trial because it's so crazy, put your comments. We got some from last week, Mona. I don't know if you saw them, but if it's for Mona, I'll make sure she gets those questions and she'll answer you too. So, yeah, it's there aren't a lot of people covering this trial, and I did some shorts, and I have some more shorts to do. But goodness gracious, I mean, there's so much richness for content with this trial. It's crazy. So
Yeah, you
anyway,
could just do little snippets of Cohen mumbling.
no, I won't do that. Thank you. I will be so glad not to see him ever again. Hopefully he'll retire soon. Not my favorite. The mumbling, the weird sense of humor. I don't dislike him, but I just don't think he's got a handle on this courtroom, and it's just going on way too. It's out of control. It's out of control.
Yeah,
but that's all right.
I think he's dragging it out, but I think he's smarter than we realize, and
I'm sure he's smart.
More adept that it comes off on the cut in, cut outs. Yeah.
I agree. I'm not saying he's not smart or adept. It's just a personal.
I don't like him.
Just my personal opinion, which I'm allowed to have. So,
okay, I'll ask you one question, then we'll say goodbye to everybody. Who's your favorite judge that you've ever watched in a
me? Oh my gosh, there's so many of my favorite. I like a lot of judges. I generally like judges. I also watched the Karen Reed trial, and Judge Bev is just like, I don't dislike him the way I dislike Bev, but I love Judge Ever. I loved all of the judges for all of the Florida versus Adelsons and whatnot trials, all of the judges. But Everett is the current judge for that trial, which is happening in June. Florida versus Donna Adelson. I liked Judge, who is no longer on the case with the Idaho 4. So many. A lot of the ones that you like, for sure, I like too.
Some I can't remember
I forget their
names of, but I know that I really like this one that, see, my brain is baked like bacon.
I loved the judge for Idaho versus Daybell, both Daybells.
I love the judge for Corey Richens so much.
Yes,
I find his voice intriguing, and he's so assisting with the attorneys. He's always guiding them to be better on both sides and nudging them about the law.
And also no nonsense. So you can be that way. You can be accommodating and kind and all that, and also have control over your courtroom. The Murdaugh judge, he was nice as a person. I think I didn't love all of his rulings, but I like him as a person for sure. He was hard not to like for sure.
Super likable, and I loved his speech, even though I think it could get you into trouble. I did not like that he allowed the defense to point a gun at the gallery. That was, and everybody laughed, and I was like, that is so not cool.
That is not okay. No, he did a lot of things that were not good, but I did like him. So it's just
I loved him, and I loved his big blue chair or whatever that was that he brought with him.
And me saying Cohen, to me, it's not, I'm not passing judgment. When I say I'm not fond of that judge, that's more of a personal take. It's not like all of his rulings and stuff, but I will say that the way he's let this trial go on forever is a little odd. So, but as you
I don't understand that unless he just doesn't want more work on his plate. But I believed him today when he said this really is winding up. I thought, okay, so he knows that there's a reason to come one day next week, right? Or why would he have said we're not going to have court? Court's going to be dark for a week. Well, right, because it's 4 out of 5 days, make it 5 days, except he knows something's coming, like maybe arguing
because he's only teaching for 3 days, so he can't just say, I'm taking the whole week off because I've got a 3-day gig
in San Francisco.
Right. So I don't know that he knows. I mean, whatever. He can't take the whole week off just because he has a 2 or 3 day gig. So, all right, guys. Well, we'll see you again. And by the way, we're going to do Verdict Watch on this channel. So I don't think anyone else is doing it. Verdict Watch on this channel is fun. I do enjoy doing that. We could.
That would be crazy if they say the jury's going to come back at 9 a.m. on the next day, like they do sometimes. I would maybe go down for that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're saying, say it so we understand it. Say it one more time.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Sometimes a jury has made a decision and the judge defers it to a specific time, sometimes the next day if it's late. And in
So
that
what
case,
you're saying is after the closing and after the jury instructions, the jury might say, could we have the night off and come back tomorrow?
no, I'm saying sometimes they come out with their verdict and it's not announced that hour. They schedule it.
Oh,
that
scheduling.
everybody
Okay, that's why I wanted
will
to explain.
come.
Okay.
Yeah. Then, yeah, because I'm not
Then
going
you
to
might go down. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Cool. In
Who
any
needs
case,
to be in that sleep dust room, for heaven's sakes?
in any case, for Verdict Watch, we can do fun things like review some of the testimonies and do reactions to them, because there's some pretty funny testimony that I think we would have a lot of fun reviewing. Not all of it, obviously, not the entire trial, but some of the highlights.
Some of the juicy bits.
Yeah, it could be really fun to do that during Verdict Watch and that kind of thing. That's what I have found. But anyway, we'll probably be back in a week to discuss this trial a little more. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And probably not next week, but because there won't be much going on next week, but we still have a whole week in front of us. Can you believe it? It's only Monday.
No, I can't believe I have a busy day tomorrow. I'm so bummed I won't be able to see it until like right before it ends, unless they end early. But
Replay.
it's heating up and I'm excited about that. It's
is
finally happening. It's paying off.
It
so
is.
Thank you, Dawn, and thank you, chat, and thank you, future listeners on Rewatch.
Yes.
We are all interested in justice, and hopefully we will see that happen in this case, because a lot of people are pretty opinionated about it. I would say the vast majority that I see in the chats.
For sure. Yeah, I think that there's going to be a conviction. All right, Mona, thank you. And good night, chat. And those replaying, hi and bye. See you soon.
Bye. Have a good night, everybody.